Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Keith. I'm Keith. Got my coffee. Let's get it, y'all. You already know what time it is, okay? We are 48 days from NFL football, man. And you already know how this show has got to get it started off. The biggest news we've been waiting for a while now, Kyler Murray, he stomped his feet this offseason. He said, guys, I need to get fucking paid. And that's exactly what the Cardinals went out and did. The Cardinals were pretty low-key chill about it. They were like, look, man, this is going to get done. The whole time, everybody expected this to come. It finally comes. Kyler Murray signs a 5-year, $230.5 million extension with $160 million of that fully guaranteed. Actually, I think some of it's like weirdly guaranteed. I think only actually about 130 of it is fully guaranteed at signing. Some of it's like other random bonuses. Listen, Kyler Murray's going to get all of this money, okay? But I want to be clear, okay? The funny thing about this contract is, I'm sorry, we seem to have a little bit of a lag going here. Hold on, guys. There we go. That's better. Just had to kick myself out, put myself right back in. Okay. The funny thing about this contract is the Cardinals basically looked at Deshaun Watson's contract and was like, okay, we're going to just add a little $500,000 here, make this guy the second highest paid quarterback in the league, and he's going to be happy. That's exactly what happened. The one thing I'll say with Kyler, like, to me, this contract's still an L. Like, it's still an L. He's the number 2 paid quarterback in the league, but I just feel like after seeing Deshaun Watson get a fully guaranteed contract, if I'm a quarterback, bro, we're not playing these bullshit numbers. Everything is fully guaranteed. I want it all. Once I sign this, I know I'm getting this money. It doesn't matter what happens from here. That's how I feel about it. But there was a report that came out from Mike Florio, who, if you don't know, Mike Florio has legal background, so that's why he's good to read up on like contract stuff and shit like that. But Florio basically said, like, listen, not all of these owners can afford to do fully guaranteed contracts because they basically the process is the owners have to put the money, all the guaranteed money in an escrow account. So like, for example, he has this 5-year, $160 million deal. They have to go ahead and put the whole $160 million in an escrow account, even though all of that money's not due right now. So that's the thing. Apparently, not all NFL owners are as rich as others. And this is an interesting topic because a widely known thing is that the Bengals owners are either cheap or don't have that much money relative to the other owners. So they're reporting that this actually could become an issue once Joe Burrow comes up for contract. So that's definitely something to look out for. Some reasons I think no matter what it's going to work out is because, listen, Joe Burrow is a hometown kid. He's from Cincinnati. But the Bengals, they're going to do what they have to do to keep Joe Burrow. Like, I don't give a shit if you got to cut everybody on this team. You're going to do whatever it takes to keep Joe Burrow. But we'll see what happens with the fully guaranteed contracts. I could see a scenario where they just alter the rules so that maybe the owners don't have to put all of the fully guaranteed money in an escrow account. Because when you think about it, it really doesn't make sense. Like, why do I have to put money in this account if I don't even have to pay it to this person till 4 years down the road? Like, I'm going to get more money and I can pay him with the additional revenue that I create from now till then. But since it's fully guaranteed, they have to put it in the escrow account. I don't know what's going to happen, but I could just see this. This just seems like something you can just change the rules on and then it'll be straight and everybody will be good with it. But another thing that's interesting to me, like when I hear about like the owners that don't have as much money as others, it kind of makes sense in a way why every time the NFL gets a new owner, that new owner is normally like the richest owner in the NFL. Like the Rams owner was the richest, and then the Carolina Panthers sold their team, and their guy was the richest, and now the Denver Broncos sell to the Walmart people, and now the Walmart people are the richest. So listen, this might be a time where we got to start booting this old money out and bringing this new money in because we want this revenue to keep going up. We want our owners to be able to afford these players so that we don't have what I would say the MLB has, where it's a real imbalance with the amount of resources each team has. So some of these guys like Cincinnati's, dude, it might be time for you to go, man. And you can tell since he's broke because I don't want to say they're broke, but they're at least doing things to get prepared for Joe Burrow's contract because the name of that stadium, I'm blanking off the top of my head. I don't have a bullet point for this or anything, but the name of that stadium is the owner's dad. And it was like to, recognize him, like hold his memory with the Bengals, but they're actually giving out naming rights for that stadium now, which is something they have not done in the past. So they're trying to bring in extra revenue. They're looking for ways to get additional money. And we'll see how the naming thing works out, because I have a feeling it'll still keep his dad's name in it. Like maybe they'll name the field and keep it his stadium, or name it his field and give the stadium name to the business. But they're looking for ways to get more money. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, is the Joe Burrow and these fully, whether anybody is going to get fully guaranteed, or if that was just a Deshaun Watson thing, which would be hella weird, because any quarterback can justify that I should get fully guaranteed if Watson is getting fully guaranteed, just based off of the off-field differences. Okay. I don't think Kyler Murray is as good as Deshaun Watson on the field, but it is not inconceivable that Kyler Murray could surpass Deshaun Watson. And because it's not inconceivable, you can sell the argument that his off-the-field issues make me more valuable than him. So I don't know. To me, I mean, it's an okay contract. There's nothing wrong with these. The second highest paid quarterback in the league. But to me, listen, every time somebody gets a new contract, we see them become the second. Normally, a lot of times the first, but I feel like Rodgers will stay up there a little bit, because nobody's going to justify the back-to-back MVP going above him, at least not right at this point in time. So I just think that the guarantee is what it's all about. How much fully guaranteed can I get? And I just think the fully guaranteed on here, I just think you really had to go for the complete fully guaranteed after Deshaun Watson. But let's move on. Kyler got his deal. He's happy, so whatever. The Cardinals knew they were going to get it done. It was a bunch of drama for no reason. Let's talk about some new drama coming in, okay? Recently, Ian Rapp reported that J.K. Dobbins might not be ready for week 1. He did say he might not be ready for week 1. And J.K. Dobbins, he was fed up with it, man. He was tired of it. So he said, listen, I'm done being quiet. Come to me, Ian, because your sources don't know shit, all right? I might not even go on the PUP, because that's how good my rehab is going, and I damn sure am going to be ready for week 1. Listen, okay, let me start by saying it was funny, because Ian Rapp was live on Pat McAfee when JK tweeted this out, and the boys over at McAfee pulled it up with him on the screen, like live reaction. And Ian was a true professional about it. Definitely wasn't upset at JK. He was like, look, he's probably a super nice guy. This is what my sources are telling me. I trust my sources. I didn't even say he wasn't going to be ready for week 1. I just said that there's some uncertainty with his status, because apparently his ACL tear, it was like a bad ACL tear. And so it was going to take a little longer for rehab. But listen, then a couple days later, okay, a report comes out, and guess what? J.K. Dobbins said, I might not get on the PUP. Well, J.K. Dobbins, he's on the PUP, guys. And there's a bunch of people that are on the PUP. I don't really want to go over every single person, because like some of these dudes are going to be ready by week 1. Like Jalen Ramsey's on the PUP right now. He's expected to be ready by week 1. Michael Thomas is on the PUP. I haven't read anything that says he's expected to be ready by week 1, but I expect this dude to be ready by week 1. Come on, man. You've been out for like a year and a half now. You got to be getting better at this point, but there's a ton of people on there. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens once the preseason games actually hit. If there are any people that are still on there, we'll take a look at that. But let's stay with the running backs here. There have been some rumors coming out of Tampa that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who just signed Fournette to a 3-year deal, are not happy with him because he skipped the voluntary stuff. All right, which, hey, it's completely within your right. It's voluntary. But apparently when he finally did show up for the mandatories, he was a little out of weight, a little overweight, little over the weight plan. They're saying that he came into camp at 260 pounds. Fournette kind of refuted this a little bit. Like, he didn't bluntly refute it, but he kind of just like showed this video of him working out and stuff. But I searched the web, and I found somebody asked his trainer about it, and his trainer was honest. His trainer was like, yeah, he did come in a little higher than we wanted him to come in at, but he did the but. He was like, but he's been working real hard every single day, doubling up on cardio. So we'll see if he's underweight. This is what I'll say. He's at if he is at 260. Okay. When Fournette came into the league and he did his combine, he was at 240 at that point in time, and he still ran a really fast 40. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not a good sign that your running back is overweight, but there still is time, and these guys are freak athletes. They know their bodies. Maybe Fournette is going to be able to drop down. Fournette basically did say that his playing weight is 230, so that's 30 pounds over. I mean, we are cutting it close here, Fournette, because preseason right around the corner. Everybody's starting training camp this Monday, or at least everybody will be in training camp. Some teams started earlier. Jaguars were not one of those teams, even though we could have been. Not really sure what was up with that, but yeah, as far as this report, I wouldn't say I'm going to put push the panic mode on Fournette for anything, like for fantasy purposes or anything like that, specifically because, I mean, they got rid of Ronald Jones. So, I mean, you're kind of like, you're rolling with Fournette for the most part. They did draft somebody, and they also have that dude, that other guy from last year that they drafted, but their talent level isn't of Fournette. So, I mean, Fournette's going to be the guy to me no matter what. But we'll keep an eye on it and see what he looks like in preseason. Hopefully he's not looking slow or nothing. But let's also stick with the Bucs, because this is something that, like, most people probably won't talk about that much, but I just think it's very noteworthy. The Bucs signed Kyle Rudolph. Okay, this could be a sneaky good move. I don't think Kyle Rudolph's like a beast or anything, but the Bucs are weak at tight end right now. They do have blanking on his name. He's the Cameron Brate. He's all reliable. He's super solid, but he's not scary. You know what I'm saying? OJ Howard, he had a lot of talent, so I feel like you kind of had to be cautious with him. And then Gronk was a beast. You lost both of those guys. Signing Kyle Rudolph, I'll just say this. He's going to be definitely a red zone threat. This guy's a big ass dude, okay? And he's had some good seasons in the past. He's just fallen off a little bit as far as production, but he's a guy that can block. And I just think as far as red zone targets go, he could be up there with like his career highs. He could get like 8 touchdowns this year just because he's playing in that Bucs offense and he has Tom Brady as his quarterback. So definitely a move that I would look out for during this season, and just see how Rudolph ends up, because he could end up having a career year with somebody like Brady. He's never played with a quarterback that good. So, and speaking of quarterbacks, there have been some random no news Jimmy G news, but I just wanted to touch on it because who doesn't love talking about the quarterbacks? Am I right? Jimmy G has been cleared to throw, and the 49ers have given Jimmy G permission to seek a trade. The second part of that report didn't make any sense to me when I read it. I'm like, so the 49ers are just now telling Jimmy G it's okay for him to look for a trade? Guys, we got to be faster than that, all right? Even if he isn't able to throw, I'm still hearing out trade offers. It doesn't really matter to me whether he can throw or not. If you want to take him, if we want to agree to something in principle when he is able to throw, whatever, we are open for business. They should have been done looking for trades, all right? Maybe you could have set one up in advance on the pre-existing condition that Jimmy G gets cleared to throw. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with this Jimmy G stuff. I did see a report that said to watch out for the Falcons as a contender to get Jimmy G, and I don't see that. I really don't. I think that they're going to roll the ball with Mariota, and they just drafted Ritter as well. So I think that they're just going to let that play out and see what happens there. I don't see them trading for Jimmy G. The Seahawks, the Seahawks are the only ones that I see that would be interested in him. And I do think that at some point the Niners will do something. Like by the beginning of the year, they will cut him. They will get him off the books because they want to keep Debo, and that's $25 million you can clear up just by cutting him. I would recommend the 49ers to entertain trading him to the Seahawks. But if the Seahawks won't give you anything for him, which would be smart strategically from their standpoint, because they know your position with Debo, they know everything that's going on with Jimmy G, that you have a franchise quarterback. So, if they wait for him to cut you, the cutting situation is interesting too, because the 49ers really have no incentive to cut Jimmy G until right before the season. Because listen, if you're the Niners, that's the one thing you're worried about cutting him, is that the Seahawks will pick him up. And if you cut him right before the season begins, at least he needs time to ramp up with them. But at the same time, I just don't get the fear of trading him to the Seahawks, because it's Jimmy G, guys. This isn't Aaron Rodgers. This isn't even Derek Carr. This isn't even Trevor Lawrence, who could end up being awesome. This is Jimmy G, somebody who is just average at best, at his best game. And at his worst game, he is well below average. So don't really understand it there. But let's also just touch on some quick things from around the league. It's nothing really big, just some things worth noting. First of all, Inside Training Camp starts on NFL Network this Monday, I believe, whatever the 25th is. I think that's this Monday. That's when everybody will be there. So they're going to, do their little thing. You're not going to see shit, let me tell you that. But it's just fun to watch, okay? At least we get a little glimpse of the boys working. Another thing that I found interesting, we keep talking about Gronk like episode after episode, because just a little tidbit of information keeps coming out. So Gronk tried to say, like, yeah, even if Tom called, I'm still not going back, blah, blah, blah. And then you know what happens? Somebody asked his girl what they think about the situation, if she thinks that Gronk would return to football. And she basically says, yeah, it doesn't feel like he's retired. It feels like he's coming back. So I don't know if Gronk put her up to that, if this reporter just caught her slipping, but we have some just crazy differences going on here. I'm not going to believe shit now, okay? I wanted to kind of take Gronk's word for it out of respect, but I just cannot do it after his girl basically was like, I don't know, man. He looks like he still wants it. So, yeah, let's get to some comments here. We got some comments about Big Lenny over here. 260. I know, Vonnie. It's a lot, but this is the one thing I'll say about the weight for Fournette. This is why I'm less concerned with his than I would be with other backs. Fournette is a pretty big power runner. Like, he likes to run over dudes. He likes to run into people. I don't think that weight is always a bad thing. I mean, as long as he can keep the speed, that's really the biggest part of it. You can be bigger if you're still running just as fast, if you can still cut just as well. If he can be agile like that, he probably doesn't need to drop at least 10. Like 250, I think 250 is like an okay weight for Fournette because of the way that he plays. But I mean, yeah, 30 pounds is far to go, but I don't know if he has to get all the way to 30 pounds, even if he says that that's his playing weight. I mean, is 250, is that gonna mess up your cuts? I don't know. I really don't. But I mean, if you're running the same speed, you're not losing any speed, and you can still cut and do everything like that. Shout out Vonnie. If you can do everything like that, I'm just not going to be concerned with it yet. It's too early. Let's see what he does in preseason, because listen, production rules all, guys. But some other news from around the league. Darren Waller is looking for a new contract. We've talked about Waller's contract in the past. All of these tight end contracts are so team friendly, but Waller specifically, he's making like $8 million, guys. I mean, Darren Waller, who's like number 4 tight end in the league, number 4, number 5. You're not putting him past 5. Tight end of the league is making like $8 million. He's looking for a new deal. He deserves it. I don't know if they'll get it done because he's got more years left on his deal. So the Raiders kind of are in a position of power. But if they want to keep good relationships, honestly, they should give him at least a little pay bump, man. He deserves it. Come on, let's be honest. There was some news about the Browns. Okay, just some rumors, really, but basically saying that if in the event that Deshaun Watson does get suspended for the whole year, which is every day it's looking more and more like that's not going to be the case. But if he does, they're saying that the Browns will consider signing Cam Newton. That, my friends, I think would be hella interesting, just because of how run-based this offense already is. To add a guy like Cam Newton, this would definitely be the best situation Cam has been in since Carolina and since his downfall. I'm not saying Cam Newton would have a revival. I'm always dying on the Cam Newton train. And it's not like I'm putting myself out there that hard for him. I just think that the way that he runs the ball, I feel like when you're talking about backups, like, yeah, it's a decent option. If I don't have a starting quarterback, to just run the ball and play literally like small ball, wishbone type of offenses where we're running triple option all day and just throwing it every now and then, I just can see that working. I mean, I know that he obviously wouldn't be as effective as a runner as Lamar, not nearly as a passer as Lamar, but I just think that it could be serviceable. But in the end, okay, it probably won't even happen. And what ended up being like, I don't want to say big news but everybody was reporting it. It's not big news at all. I don't know why every single news outlet reported this, but I got an update from everybody wanted to let everyone know that the Browns signed Josh Rosen, former first-round pick, who has just been terrible. Okay, I don't know why people are still keeping up with this guy. I mean, we've had other first-round busts, man. They're not getting this much love. He's getting that Sam Darnold treatment where it's just like, we're just going to keep talking about this dude. And listen, this is a guy you can just cut. You can just straight up cut him. He got in the game for I think one play last year. I know that they threw him in there for the Falcons. The Falcons took Matt Ryan out. They threw whoever their direct backup was. I forgot. No, I think it was Rosen first. 2 quarterbacks came in, basically. Both of them threw pick sixes on one pass. So Josh Rosen is nothing. Josh Rosen's talent means nothing at this point. He's the equivalent of an undrafted free agent. I'm going to take the undrafted free agent before Josh Rosen at this point. And then one of the funniest stories, okay? So Ryan Pace, it's just a little tidbit, but Ryan Pace, he got fired from the Bears, obviously. He signs with the Falcons to get some job there as like a senior executive type of position. He's been signing like a lot of Bears players. Like it was like 6, I think, that he brought to the Falcons, something like that, 5 or 6. But one of them that he brought over was Eddie Goldman. Eddie Goldman signs with the Falcons. I don't know what happened. I guess he went to like these little mini workouts or whatever. He said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm retiring. I cannot be here. Eddie Goldman signs with the Falcons. And then like 2 weeks later retires. So that tells you what they got going on over there in Atlanta. I wouldn't feel too confident about that. Let's go to a comment really quick. Who's a bigger bust, Jamarcus Russell or Rosen? I'm going to have to go Jamarcus Russell on this one because Josh Rosen has at least managed to go to multiple teams. Okay. I mean, Josh Rosen was with the Cardinals. He gets traded to Miami. Miami doesn't want him. He goes to the Falcons, I think. He might have been with one other team in between that, but and now he's with the Browns. Rosen has gotten multiple opportunities. Jamarcus was so bad that he wasn't even trying. He wasn't even watching the film that the coaches were giving him. And at the end of the day, Jamarcus Russell couldn't even get a shot with a second team as a first overall pick in the draft because he was another guy that had weight issues because he wasn't trying that hard. This was back before they had those structured rookie contracts, and these rookies would come in and negotiate these contracts, and they would rob the NFL. They would take like $150 million and be a bust and just walk away. So that Jamarcus Russell to me is part of the reason that the structured rookie contracts happen. So I got to give it to my boy Jamarcus Russell because listen, man, I mean, you walked away with $160 million and played like not even a full 3 seasons worth of games. So never got a second chance with a team, got like a one workout with a different team. And they literally said, no. So it's definitely Jamarcus. And then last little tidbit before we get into my rankings, the Madden rankings came out and listen, there's a lot of issues with it, but the reason I'm not going to go over these Madden ratings is because this isn't new. Like Madden's been doing this. Madden's been screwing up ratings for a really long time now. So the NFL Lab did bring up a good point about them though with Madden. Like they kind of influenced the Pro Bowl a little bit with their ratings because I mean, as a kid, you play Madden all the time. So, like, sometimes you think a player is good literally because he's good in Madden, and you think a player is not that good because he's rated bad in Madden. And the only person I'm going to touch on with Madden ratings is Darnell Mooney. His rating is hella disrespectful at 79. That guy had a great year in, like, one of the most wrecked ships in the NFL last season, maybe the second most wrecked ship behind the Urban Miller-led Jaguars. So, yeah, whatever. Screw the Madden ratings. Let's get into my ratings, okay? And before I even show them to you guys, let me start by telling you the defensive rankings are way harder than the offensive rankings. Especially safety. The level of play is so razor thin. So I know that people are not going to like some of these people I have on the list and some of the people that I had to snub. But that's just the way the cookie crumbled for me. All right, we'll start with what I think is like the more okay list that everybody's going to kind of agree with. Listen, the defensive tackles basically, or I'll include you if you're a 3-4 and that slides to defensive tackle when you go into the sub packages. You're in there as well. But I got Aaron Donald at 1. That's undisputed, all right? Aaron Donald is the man. He's probably the best defensive player in the NFL out of all the positions. So it's a no-brainer at 1. And then Cameron Hayward, dude, this guy's the definition of consistent. He's one of those quiet dudes that people don't talk about enough, but he is a great player, okay? And I just have to put him at 2. He's got multiple All-Pros, and I just think when you look at the consistency year in and year out, you're not going to get anybody except Aaron Donald above Cameron Hayward. And then DeForest Buckner, he's been the man over there in Indy. Okay. From 3 to 5, I feel like are pretty debatable. You can kind of slide those guys in interchangeably. They're kind of in their tier to me. But DeForest Buckner's just been doing it since day 1 in this league. So I had to put him at 3 and Chris Jones is really good as well. I mean, there was a razor thin between those two. I have Jeffrey Simmons just a little bit lower. I actually think Jeffrey Simmons last year had a better year than the two before, or Chris Jones and DeForest Buckner, but he just hasn't done it as long. Last year was like he was good before last year, but last year was his super year where it was like, okay, Jeffrey Simmons, this is a freaking guy. All right. But if he keeps up his play, I mean, I could see him sliding all the way to 2. Aaron Donald's obviously untouchable, but Jeffrey Simmons is a young player. And if he continues to improve from where he's at right now, the NFL needs to watch out, especially those O linemen, they're going to be in trouble. And then 6 through 8, it's just, to me, that's another tier. Like, you can slide those guys up and down. Vita Vea and Kenny Clark, they don't really rack up mad sacks, but they're just mad. They're like nose tackle type of players. You're not expecting huge sack numbers from those guys. They'll still put up like 4, like 4 sacks, 3 or 4, maybe 6 at the highest probably. But as far as defense or run stuffing and just freaking taking up blocks, man, Vita Vea is a monster. This guy is so freaking big, dude. 2 guys have to touch this man on every play. So that to me brings a ton of value. Jonathan Allen's a little bit better of a rusher on the interior, but he's a great pass rusher, and he's also solid against the run. I had to slide at least one of Washington Commanders defensive linemen in there because they got a lot of talented ones over there. And then Leonard Williams, he kind of came on a little later in his career, but he's solid, man. And there's a few guys that you could say I snubbed, but it was close, dude. Like the end of the list, it gets close. It's razor thin with these guys. And then Fletcher Cox, he's just another old reliable guy. I mean, he's been in this league so long, and he's still a dominating force. So I had to put him in there just for the consistency's sake. Let me know if you guys think that there's somebody that I'm snubbing out of here that I'm just overlooking, and I'll let you know if I have a justification for leaving them out. Let's slide over to the edge defensive players. All right, this list I do feel like is a little controversial. From freaking like 4 to 10, I feel like, man, it's so tight. The first 3 I feel really confident in. Like, I'm not putting anybody above these 3 at the edge. TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, and Myles Garrett. Okay. I mean, these are just like the gold standard of pass rushing. Okay. The Bosas, both of them, but Nick's a little better to me. They got the best handwork in the league. Okay. Myles Garrett, greatest power rusher on the edge that you're going to get. And TJ Watt just does it all, man. I mean, he broke the record last year. He has to be at 1 to me. He just has to. You got to put the Watt at the top. Von Miller, let me address this one right here. No, I'm not putting DeMarcus Lawrence in this. I understand that DeMarcus Lawrence is good at run defending. I don't see him as – he might be top 10 in run defending. I'll give you that. But as far as pass rushing, he's not up there. And when you even it out, I can't put DeMarcus Lawrence in there. I feel like he's living off of, like, old stat sheets. He's still a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player. If you're asking me, is he a number 1 edge rusher, as in top 32, as in a number 1 edge rusher? Yes, he's a fine number 1 edge rusher. But we're talking about the top 10 here, and I just feel like these guys in the top 10 – DeMarcus Lawrence is going to fall somewhere to me between like 12 and 20, but I can't put him in the top 10. Not for this one. There's another pass rusher that will be in a top 10 list, but I don't consider him an edge defender. If he was an edge defender, he would also be in this list. You probably know who I'm talking about, French, but we'll get to him. I think it's the next one coming up, but no, not putting DeMarcus Lawrence in my top 10. Von Miller. Okay. I had to go back and look at his stats a little bit because this is obviously a guy that's aging, okay? There's no doubt about it. He's an aging player, but his consistency's still there. He has had a few years where he's gotten injury prone, but as far as like average per game sack total, like when he plays in the game, it's still up there, man. And I got to leave him up there because he's one of those gold standards. I mean, he's just been doing it for so long. Listen, he's not going to get you 20, okay? He's probably not going to get you 20. He's not at that point in his career, but you can count on him for 10 to 13. I'd say at this point in his career, 10 to 13 is like a lock. So I got to leave him in there. And then Chandler Jones, obviously he came out last year and had that huge first game, okay, where I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my list, and I'm already thinking of somebody that I kind of snubbed a little bit, and I'm regretting it. But anyways, Chandler Jones, that huge game week 1 last year with the 5 sacks. Listen, a guy that can get you 5 sacks in a game, he's got to be on your top 10 list. I know that he doesn't do it consistently enough, but I'm putting him on this list because I'm anticipating what he's going to do with Max Crosby. Okay, that combo is going to be phenomenal. All right, and that's the guy that came to my mind, and I looked at the list and I was like, damn, I didn't put Max Crosby on it, but I remember thinking about him. It was really close for me to put him and Hunter in there, but we'll get to that in a second. Joey Bosa at 6. Joey Bosa at 6. I just love the Bosa's handwork, man. I mean, they're consistent players, bro, and you got to give respect to those consistent guys. Where it's like, I know if you play the entire season, we're getting 10 plus sacks from you. And to me, he's one of those guys. So I had to put him at 6, his age, and then his handwork, his upside is what gets him at 6 to me, because he's a Bosa that can get you 16 to 19 sacks in a really good year. And oh my God, with him and Khalil Mack, it's going to be monstrous. So we'll get to Khalil Mack in a second. Cameron Jordan, he's a quiet pass rusher, man. Like, people don't talk about Cameron Jordan enough, but he's a guy that might get you under 10 just slightly. But the way he defends the run pushes him up a lot. and also his ability to just lead the group, be a leader, take control of situations. He's one of those guys that will call an audible and switch shit up on the defensive line when he sees something. So I got to give him credit for that one. He's just a top player in this league. And then Khalil Mack, I mean, look, this is a guy that hasn't been putting up as good of numbers as he has in the past, but next to Joey Bosa, man, he's going to have a great year. And I just can't leave him off of this list at this point. If he has a bad year this year, he'll slide out of my top 10 for sure. But last year wasn't a terrible year, all right? He still did good for the amount of games that he's played, but he needs to get a full season under his belt this year. He can't keep getting hurt. That's what's really holding him back the most. Robert Quinn, it was tough to put Robert Quinn at 9 and not slide him even higher than Khalil Mack and Cameron Jordan, just based off of that last year that he had with 18.5 sacks. You look at the last 2 years Quinn has had, it's a real resurgence in his career. Both of them back-to-back 10-plus sack seasons, but I'm just going to leave him down here because I want to see another year of it, man. And this is a huge test for who he is as a player still at this point in his career, because no Khalil Mack, the Bears are just stripping this team down, but he's still there. So we'll see what he can make happen on his own with the defense, and he's going to be the leader of that defensive line for this year. So we'll see what he can bring. Danielle Hunter, him and Max Crosby, I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, man, you can really go in or out there. Danielle Hunter is another guy that has dealt with injuries, and we've kind of forgotten about him a little bit. I'll even admit I've forgotten about him a little bit. When you look at his freaking sack numbers when he plays full years, I mean, we're talking 14 sack year season. So the upside, just I gotta see it. I gotta give him one more year because he was having a good year before he got injured last year. So I gotta keep him in there over Max Crosby because the reason I gotta leave Max Crosby just under him, and it's really tight, guys, because Max Crosby I feel like Max Crosby can hit you with like 6+ forced fumbles. He brings that power to him that I feel like is over Danielle Hunter, but I'm going to go Danielle Hunter over him because Max Crosby hasn't hit 10 sacks in a season yet. He's been really, really good. He got a really big deal this year, but he just hasn't hit 10 yet. So I'm going to leave him out. And then one last thing I want to talk about, a guy that I also left out that this person would really disagree with. Booker McFarland said that Chase Young will have 20 sacks this season if he stays healthy. This is year 3 for Chase Young. Bigger McFarland is saying 20-plus sacks. Last year, Chase Young played in 7 games. I think he got hurt in the 7th game, like middle of the game, so we'll even give him 6 games. He had 2 sacks, guys. 2 sacks. And I understand that he had a little bit of lingering injuries, but guys, 20? Booger McFarland, what the hell are you smoking, bro? He's not going to have 20 sacks. Let me know if you guys think that is nuts. We should keep Micah included because of pass rush and sacks. Listen, I'm going to leave him out because he did start at defensive end a couple of games for you guys last year. You could debate that I should put him in here. I'm going to leave him out of here because I put him in with the linebackers. But let me know if you guys think that Chase Young could possibly get 20 sacks this season because I just don't see it. Let's go to the linebackers, okay? This is where Micah Parsons will get his love, French. Calm down, all right? We're going to start at number 1. I didn't notice how hard it is to see there, but Darius Leonard. I got to put Leonard at 1, man, because of the consistency. He's the maniac. He's been just, as far as the forced fumbles, the all-around Mike linebacker play, I'm going to leave him above Parsons. And I'll say it was a little tough to do that. I was really tempted to put Parsons at 1, but I'm going to leave Leonard here for the leadership aspect of it. Listen, Micah can 100% take the 1 spot easily this year. If he plays like he played last year and just continues to grow as a player, he will take that 1 spot. But for right now, I'm going to leave the maniac there just because of the way that he leads this Colts team. He's clearly the guy, okay? I just have to go with Darius Leonard at 1 just because of the impact he's had on that Colts team as a whole. Mike Parsons, I know Micah Parsons, you can obviously make the same argument because of look at the way that the Dallas made that jump last year. It's nuts how good Dallas's defense went from the year prior to last year. But, oh, come on, man. You can't leave Parsons out of the top 5. I know it was 1 year. Listen, I understand that it was 1 year. But when you see a Hall of Fame caliber talent, you can't deny them their respect. I did it with Jamar Chase. He was in the top 5 at receiver because he earned it. Micah Parsons earned it, man. I mean, just like French said, you can make an argument to put Micah Parsons top 10 as a pass rusher and a linebacker. You definitely can. But I'm only putting him at 1 because to me, it's like you can only play one position at a time. So I have to classify you somewhere, and I'm going to lean you to linebacker because I think that's what Dallas is going to want you to be over a pass rusher. Obviously, they're still going to blitz you. They're still going to be using you in packages on the edge. But as far as your snap count, I think he's going to take more at linebacker. I just believe that. So I'm going to leave him at the linebacker spot. Number 3, I got Demario Davis from the Saints. This is another one of those guys that is sneaky quiet, okay? Not a lot of people will put Demario Davis in the top 3 for linebackers, but I just think, bro, he, to me, is probably number 1 run defense linebacker. Probably. I mean, even over Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard makes more impact plays. This guy's a little more quiet, but his consistency level is just freaking phenomenal. So I'm going to keep him at 3, and I'm going to slide Fred down 1 from where he probably normally is on this. Fred Warner is also a beast. Listen, you got to give him the respect. He's a young, upcoming linebacker. He is the commander of that 49ers defense. And you look at the back end of the 49ers defense, there's not that many players that you recognize that much. I mean, they've had Jimmy Ward for a while. Their secondary has been a little iffy. They went and got or they have Jimmy Ward. They went and got Chadarius Ward. I'm blanking on the pronunciation of it, but the guy from the Chiefs, their number 1 corner. So they should be a little better. But Fred Warner's been holding it down for the 49ers, all right, since he got there. So I got to give him his respect and leave him at 4. Bobby Wagner, this is a guy, the only reason he's at 5 is just because of the age, man. I mean, that's what happens when you get older. You gotta slide down. You got to slide down on the depth chart. It's not really your fault. It's just like these other guys are younger, they're faster, they're stronger at this point, but you still got the intelligence, my brother. You've still been able to keep up. It's not like they're smoking you, and you use that intelligence factor. He's going to be on that LA Rams defense, okay? You look at that Rams defense, bro. They have 3 Hall of Famers on that team right now at all 3 levels. You got Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, and then Jalen Ramsey. I already talked about it. I think the trade-off from Von Miller to Bobby Wagner is actually a plus for the Rams, because the only weakness they had last year was the middle of their defense. It was that throw into the middle of it, and Bobby Wagner will be that leader for the defense. So I think that they could even make a bigger jump this year, even without Von Miller, because I mean, listen, pass rushers can pop up when you got guys like Aaron Donald on the line, and Darius Leonard too. I mean, not Darius Leonard. Leonard Floyd, he's another great, solid edge rusher. Obviously, he wasn't in my top 10, but he's still a good player. So I'm definitely still keeping Bobby Wagner in my top 5. Right, the 6 through 10, this is another one of those spots where it's like, dude, we are splitting hairs right now. All of these guys, you could justify moving to any of these spots to me. Listen, Spence, I love Devin Lloyd, but I can't put him in the top 10 until I see it in the NFL. So I don't put rookies in my top 10s like that, unless like I might not even that. I was thinking maybe last year if I did one, I would have maybe included Jamar Chase just because he was like that, it's going to be good type of prospect. But even then, I just feel like you got to see it first. But 6 to 10, man, I'm just going to go through. I'm not going to give an explanation because honestly, it was freaking splitting hairs. Devin White from the Bucs, Devondre Campbell from the Packers, Levante David from the Bucs, Patrick Queen from the Ravens, and then Roquan Smith from the Bears. So that's going to be my 6 through 10 for linebackers. I'm not going to touch on that too much because it is what it is. You can slide people up and down. Let me know if you guys think that there's somebody I snubbed off of this that should be in here and boot one of these guys out. But let's move to one of the exciting positions. We got the cornerbacks here, all right? Look, I'm a Jaguars fan, all right? I got a lot of bad blood for Jalen Ramsey, but I'm going to put him at 1. And I do think it's tighter than people give it credit for. Like, I feel like everybody's like, oh, Ramsey's the undisputed 1. I feel like you can make an argument for a few guys at 1. But what I think separates Ramsey, honestly, is the mental makeup, okay? I feel like Ramsey really gets in a receiver's head. Like, I think that receivers go to bed nervous the next day when they go up against Ramsey because they know he's going to be fucking chirping in their goddamn ear every single play. And Ramsey's a big dude too. Another thing that really makes me have to force him to stay at 1 is also you can't say that Ramsey doesn't give effort in run defense. I mean, he'll tackle you, bro. He's a pretty sure tackler over there on the edge. So I'm going to leave Ramsey at 1. And then this guy is not put at 2 a lot, but I'm going to put him there. Xavier Howard from the Dolphins. Okay, we remember last offseason where I'm not going to lie, I judged Xavier Howard a little bit because of the contract drama, because of the way he worded it, because he was like, I didn't fully understand my contract when I signed it. Just in my head, I'm like, that is completely your fault, my brother. You got to understand a contract before you sign it, or you got to get a better agent that does what you're worth. But listen, Xavier Howard, when you look at him from an actual like man-to-man zone corner, he's one of the best at both. He's very good in both of those coverages. But the thing that I think stands out to me is how consistently this guy has gotten turnovers, man. When you start to become that elite level corner, your turnovers normally decrease because people know, they're like, okay, I got to be careful around this guy. I'm not going to say quarterbacks to say I'm not going to throw around this guy because I feel like you can't do that. You can't eliminate a side of the field because you're scared of a player, but you're definitely like, I'm going to be cautious. I'm going to know where that guy is at all times. And Xavier Howard, regardless, he's been able to continue getting top-notch turnovers. So I've got to put him at 2 over these next 2 guys who have also been elite players. Jair Alexander, lockdown corner. Absolutely, man. Lockdown corner, okay? But he doesn't have the turnovers like Xavier Howard does, and that's why I just got to give it inches. And listen, I'm telling you, like 2 through 5 to me right here, we're splitting hairs. We're splitting hairs again, guys. To me, I could justify sliding these guys up. They can move anywhere after this season. I do think Ramsey's going to stay at the top, especially when you hear the report that he played on 2 shoulder chairs or some shit, and he had to get surgery. He's going to be ready by week 1. That's scary. But for the 3 through 5 specifically, Jair is a lockdown number 1 corner. Marshawn Latimer is a lockdown number 1 corner. J.C. Jackson, I feel like he's a little lower than those 2 as far as coverage skills, but he gets more turnovers than those 2. Like the last 2 years, he's done it consistently. I think actually maybe the last 3 years, he's done it consistently with his turnover numbers. So that's why I'm putting JC at 5 because I'll just take those number 1 lockdowns just slightly above him. And then 6, 7, and 8. Those 3 to me are also like that's a tier. Like that's really tight. I'm going to put Marlon Humphreys at 1, man, because I just feel like I've never seen Marlon Humphrey have a bad game. Okay. This guy for the Ravens has just been locked down. All right. And then Denzel Ward, he obviously got paid that big money. He's another one of those lockdown guys, man. Him and Tre'Davious White, all these guys, I really kind of just threw them 6 through 8, and I couldn't decide. I just had to put them somewhere. So that's how it ended up. Then 9 and 10. Okay. I think there's some guys outside of this list that really, one guy that killed me to leave out was Marcus Peters because I love Marcus Peters as a corner, but Darius Slay to me is another underrated guy that like he was really elite young in his career, but he played for Detroit and people kind of forgot about him. And then he went to Philly and Philly's been like, okay. And people kind of forgot about him, but he's been playing at a all caliber level. I believe he had 2 pick sixes last year. And Trayvon Diggs at 10, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Cowboys fans, I was being generous, okay? I feel like I was being generous putting Trayvon Diggs in the top 10 because, look, he's got the turnover numbers, but as far as coverage skills, I mean, he really gives up a lot of yards. I mean, we all know the numbers, man. I mean, this is not a lockdown corner at all, okay? He lives and dies off of his turnovers, and he can stay here. I can put him back in the top 10 next year, but you're going to have to keep up that number of turnovers, or you're going to have to change something about your game to not give up so many yards, man. Because, I mean, dude, that is a downfall. I have to knock you big time if that's the only thing you're bringing to the table is turnovers. It's a big part of the game. That's what keeps you in the top 10. But if you want to be elite, if you want to move up from there, then listen, we're going to need better coverage skills, or you're going to have to just keep up these 10-plus turnover seasons, which is extremely hard to do. We've talked about it, man. Quarterbacks don't want to throw interceptions. What are we preaching the NFL? Don't cause turnovers. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. So it's gonna be a long road ahead for Trayvon Diggs to stay in the top 10, but I'm gonna slide him there because of his year last year. Let's go to the safeties. All right, our last little ranking group of the day. Listen, the safeties, honestly, 1 through 10, all of it was splitting hairs, bro. Like literally, I struggled the entire time making this list. All right, but this, I think there's a lot of people I probably snubbed on this one because this was the toughest one to make. But I just fucking went with my gut, all right? Minkah Fitzpatrick at 1. He's made such an impact over there on that Steelers defense. Trading a first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick ended up being a freaking steal for the Steelers, man. This guy's worth 2 firsts. And oh, yeah, let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Yeah, I left Jamal Adams off my top 10. I hate Jamal Adams. He is not a good safety. If he switched to linebacker, I might be able to put him in the top 10, but as a safety, I am not going to I'm not going to put him in there. We already got some complaints about this list. Poyer over Tyron. Listen, it's close, okay? I'm not even going to touch on any of this, really. Derwin James, just a few things. Derwin James, I left him in the top 5. Honestly, I definitely could justify putting him out of it. It's really about his talent level for me. And I think that everything with the Chargers defense this year has improved so much that I think Derwin James is going to have his best year this year. And that's why I'm sliding him into the top 10. Honestly, that is a projection a little bit. The Derwin James thing is a little bit of a projection, but dude, he is just a monster. Like when you see his flashes and he didn't have a bad year or anything. It's just like he had so much shit players around him last year on that defense. They could not stop the run, but this year they made so many improvements. I just had to put him in the top 5. Listen, guys, I know it's debatable. I know everything about this is really debatable, especially with Tyrann Mathieu. Look, I'm leaving Tyrann Mathieu where he is because I know that he wasn't an All-Pro last year, but the 2 years prior, he was first-team All-Pro. Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde both made All-Pros this year. One of them was first team and one of them was second team, I believe. And it's tight, dude. But when I look at it's just like projecting for this year, man. Tyrann Mathieu, his consistency to me is why I'm going to leave him slightly above them. And it's not that Jordan Poyer or Micah Hyde haven't been consistent. I just think that Tyrann Mathieu's ceiling is a little higher. Honestly, I just do. And it's a little biased because I just love Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. He's been so fucking great all these years. And Poyer and Micah Hyde, they're great players, man. Even Harrison Smith, you could justify Harrison Smith moving out. I see somebody, Jesse Bates at 10. I don't know if this is a complaint or if this is like whether you think he should be higher or lower. But let me know. I mean, he was another guy. I feel like I could have justified leaving Bates out of the top 10. But it's just splitting hairs with the safeties, man. It really is. So this is what I went with. I went with my gut, and I honestly, a lot of the safety play was based off of consistency because I feel like production for top safeties is very similar. Kevin Byard honestly had, and I know Tim at 2 seems a little crazy, but his consistency the last 3 years as far as turnovers, they've just been there, man. So I had to justify sliding him up there. A lot of people have Justin Simmons at 1. He's a great player, but I don't know. I went with my gut on this one, guys. I mean, what do you want from me? All right. I did my best. Okay. Did my best. All right. Listen, if there's anything you really hate, let me know. All right. And I'll address all complaints on the list. I'll own it. All right. Cause I'm sure that there's somebody that you could justify putting just slightly in or out or whatever. But listen, guys, that's all I have for today. It was a little bit of a long show. The defensive rank has got a little long. All right. It just does. Okay. Took a long time making them too, all right? But listen, for my Jaguars fans out there or anybody AFC South, anybody that just wants to listen to some football, okay, we are premiering the first ever episode of That One Jaguar Show, where we are going to talk about everything Jaguars, guys. We're going to be talking about the position battles going into training camp this year, what we expect from Trevor Lawrence, if we can have any no O-line. No O-line. We did defense today. Why would I do O-line? I ranked the O-linemen as a group. I didn't want to do individual players. That's just annoying. All right. That's just annoying. And I'd have to look up too much stuff. But anyways, with That One Jaguar Show, we're going to be talking about the training camp battles. We're going to be talking about if Visca Shenault is going to be able to make an impact on this team. We're going to talk everything offense, everything special teams going into the training camp this year. We'll save the defense for right before the Hall of Fame game. Defense and coaching. And then maybe we'll get into a little book of Bo. But anyways, guys, check us out. We'll be live at 5 p.m. talking everything Jaguars, okay? Enjoy your Saturday. I'm out of here. Peace.